Hey guys, welcome back. This week we're going to have a tough conversation about a topic that I think is really important for you to just hear in a straightforward way. And I've talked about it before, but it's debt. And I think this is just so important to have a real conversation about this because we're going about our lives in this rat race, in this hamster wheel, stuck in debt, and it is trapping you from living a more fulfilling life. But more importantly, it's keeping you from making important decisions and being able to be agile enough to be able to pivot and move when you have to. You're not able to make those either career shifts or money moves when there's opportunity. And it can feel like a big mountain that's hard to climb out of, but there is definitely a better way than to live your life strapped down by debt. Because when you get out of debt, it puts options on your table. And I just want to be so clear about that. You don't need another fluffy, feel-good person telling you, it's okay, it's probably going to be fine. It's not fine. And this is the reason why our culture just sells debt like it's candy off a shelf. There's nothing better that the creditors would love for than just to take another piece of your paycheck. And you have to fight for that. You have to fight for your own freedom when it comes to your financial freedom. You have to get angry at the fact that you got in the debt that you're in and get angry enough to get out. Don't just say it's impossible and it's hopeless and this is always just going to be how life is. That you're always going to have a car payment, that you're always going to have a house payment, that you need a credit card to get by in life. All of those answers are false. Myth busted. Our household has done it. I told you we've gone on vacations with debit cards. You can get out of this cycle. And I can tell you practically how to do some of these things. I want to give you practical advice, not just get you fired up or feel like you don't know how to do it, boots on the ground. So one of the things I want to share is if you're trying to get out of credit card debt, but you're not exactly sure how, because the one thing that credit cards provide for convenience is you don't have to time the rhythm of your spending with a credit card because you have a full balance available to swipe. But when you do daily life and you try to live it in the rhythm of your paychecks, it can feel a little bit clunky, if you will. It can be difficult to make that shift off of credit cards. And if you're in credit card debt right now, make a commitment to stop putting purchases on your credit card. Shift to cash if you can. Shift to your debit card so that you can start feeling the transactions and start feeling how you're doing life. Because it is so easy just to keep swiping and even in little practical ways, like what's $5 here and there, it does add up and it keeps you from hitting those goals. It keeps you from paying off the credit card. It kind of puts you right back in. And I'm saying this because I lived it. I'm not just saying this to point fingers or say that, you're doing a bad job. The system's designed to kind of keep it that way. 30% credit card interest rates are ridiculous. You can't get that out in the stock market. I wish you could, but they're making that off of us. And you need to get angry at the fact that that money could be in your pocket, helping you and your family, and determined to do something different. That's it. It's saying, okay, for now, we can change our lifestyle a little bit to make more room in our monthly cash flow to actually chip away at the debt and not hang on to it. Because a lot of times the interest rate is what kills us. Is it's so hard to get ahead of the interest rate. I'm going to tell you, there is another way you can get out of the credit card debt high interest rate cycle. It takes discipline. It's how I paid off my house fast. I paid off my house using this method in just over 2 years. And it is something that I'm passionate about teaching. So I have said that I'm building a digital course around this. I don't have that ready yet, but if you're interested in knowing how and you want to get, unconventional around how you pay off your debt, it works. And I'm living proof of it. So you can email me, Leah, Leah, at moneywisemom.com, or hop onto the website, moneywisemom.com, and there's a contact me page. Just reach out to me directly and I'll work with you one-on-one. But until I have the course out, that's the way I can share this information. And I'll start trickling it out in practical ways. Some of the concepts around this in some of my upcoming videos. But today, I want to just give you something super practical about simple steps you can make to shift to cash, to shift to living on your income. So I've said it before that if you can kind of designate your paycheck to different accounts, set up an account for your food, set up an account for your gas and transportation, set up an account for your bill pay. You don't need a lot. We do it on 3 debit card accounts, 3 bank accounts. We have a food account, gas and transportation, and we have a bill pay account. Those are the 3 checking accounts. Everything else is a savings account. So you can designate, they're called sinking funds. When you're saving a little bit, you're sinking a little bit of money every paycheck aside for expenses that you'll have at some point in the near future. Ideally, like within this year or within a year's time, like car expenses, car maintenance. It could be property taxes, winter heating expenses, anything that you need to spread out the savings so it's not a big hit at once. You start setting that money aside ahead of time so that you're ready when that time comes. So why am I bringing that up? That's part of why it's important to segregate your money so that you can comfortably shift off of credit cards and stay on budget and know that you have enough for your bill pay at the end of the month. So here's the epiphany that we had, and we've done this ever since, was when it comes to your cash flow, you might get a paycheck twice a month, bi-weekly, which is every 2 weeks. So every now and then there's an extra paycheck in the month because of the cycle. You might get it once a month. What you want to do is you need to find out what your bill pay is. Like, what are the bills that have to come out every single month, whether it's automatically paid or whether you pay your bills at the end of the month. Make a list of all those bills and what that amount is. It should be less than your income. That's what you're trying to get to, live on less than your income. But carve out that chunk of money, find out what that is, and that's your savings goal, that by the end of the month, your last paycheck will get you that amount saved. So you'll be able to comfortably and confidently know that you can pay your bills at the end of the month and you haven't touched that money as the paychecks come in. So if you have $1,000 in bills, your first goal is to get all those payment dates to the end of the month so that you're in control of the payment dates. And then what you're going to do is, let's use an example, $250 a week per paycheck can go towards bill pay so that by the end of the month, you have the full $1,000 saved and you can do your bill pay at the end of the month. It's not perfect. Sometimes you have to make sure that you can pay bills in the middle of the month when you can't move the payment date, but a lot of companies give you the flexibility to move your payment date. So step 1 is move all your bill pay to the end of the month. So you're in control of the income that happens up until then. That gives you flexibility to now have the rest of the money available to you in your paycheck earlier, so it can get in your accounts earlier, and the bill pay part just gets floated to the end of the month. That's called floating your expenses, or the bill pay just gets floated to the end of the month. And there's another concept for floating your expenses with a credit card. I don't want to mix those two up, but basically this is a goal to shift your expenses, the bill pay stuff that doesn't impact your daily life, get that out, get that to the end. Give yourself more wiggle room to have flexibility in your spending, because ideally you want to be able to fund your personal food and transportation as early in the month as possible so you don't have to nickel and dime yourself like, okay, this week I can spend $25 on gas, next week I can spend $25 on gas. Let's be real. Life isn't that smooth and cookie cutter. As much of your full month's daily living expenses that you can fund earlier on in the month, the better. It might be the first 2 paychecks. So let's use that example. You get 4 paychecks in a month, or even just 2 paychecks in a month. You could use either one. The first paycheck is going to go almost entirely to your personal, your food, personal transportation. There might be a little bit left over. There probably should be a little bit left over to cover an additional savings towards your bill pay. Then that next paycheck comes in. If you're bi-monthly, 2 times a month, then that whole next check gets put aside for your bill pay and you don't touch it. It goes into a separate account. You pay your bills out of that. So you're segregating your activity of your life between what is going to happen no matter what, the bills are going to come in, and the stuff that's a little bit more lumpy. Sometimes you have a different, menu for the week and you need to spend a little more, or you have to hit up some, more household supplies that you ran out of. It's easier to try to get that chunk of money in your pocket, at your disposal, in your bank account earlier than later. And it makes it feel better. So you can fund that all up front. Those are just some practical ways that you can start shifting off of the dependency of credit cards. That is, again, the one thing that a credit card helps with is you don't have to time out your spending. But once you get used to this rhythm, it actually is really easy. You're going to put the money in your food account. You have it for the month. We actually tend to be a little more spendy. We spend a little more on our food earlier in the month. And then we end up finding that we tail it back and we get a little more disciplined. We could fine tune that, but it works for us. We stay within our budget, and it forces us to stay within our budget because when the money's gone, it's gone out of that checking account. We're much less likely to shift it because we have to feel it. If we shift it out of our bill pay or we have to shift it out of our savings, we know that we're taking away from something. So that's all I have for you. I hope that is practical and relatable, and you know how to reach me if you have questions. Bye for now. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it.